up, guys? How y'all doing today? Tezla here. Want to talk to y'all. This is comic talk. I know you probably hear me through this, but yeah, if I can pull this closer, this is comic talk. So, oh god. So wanted to kick it with y'all real quick. On yeah, we're gonna kick it and talk about comics. That's what we're here for. As people may or may not know by the picture right there and the picture right there, I am a huge comic book fan. I always have been. I believe my first comic book was a Spider-Man comic, not the one that everybody fell in love with, Spider-Man first appearance in the Fantastic Four, but I'm a huge comic book fan. So I got some questions and responses from Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook as well. So we're gonna go through here and answer some questions, but I want to give you all a bit of backstory about what I'm reading, what I'm not reading, what I think about Marvel, what I think about DC, going for all that kind of stuff. So what am I reading right now? So right now, I'm reading a lot, man. I am currently reading Future State Dark Detective. I think Dark Detective is probably one of the best books they have for the Future State series so far. Basically, is telling a story of Batman not really being Batman anymore. But it's really interesting because he doesn't have his gear. It's almost like a low-tech Batman trying to figure out what's going on. It's really interesting reading that story, and I think the only three issues in, I'm really enjoying that. I'm also reading Far Sector, arguably one of the best original Green Lantern stories I've ever heard. I don't want to go into full detail, full spoilers on it, but it is a great story for not only African American people, but African American women, and it tells a great mystery story and a great cop story. Almost to the point I almost want to see it be made live action. I'm also, of course, reading King in Black, which, if you have not read King in Black, let's see after the 4th issue. Oh my god! So King in Black, is essentially what King in Black is. It is the ultimate, the final story for this Venom and the God Null storyline. That's actually really, really cool to see because Null is unstoppable. Null gets to Earth and starts wrecking house ASAP. The Earth is currently covered in a ball of symbiotes, and the heroes are trying to figure what's going on. And they're introducing, and throughout the King in Black event, they're introducing different villains and all that kind of stuff that we're going to see later on in the series. But the 4th issue definitely leads to a big cliffhanger. And something I kind of figured was going to happen. It definitely touches it. If you've read Jason Aaron's run on Thor, it definitely ties into that for sure. I'm loving that storyline. House of X. The X-Men book right now is amazing. So is Marauders. I just started reading the new Eternals book that just came out. But yeah, those are some of my favorites. There are probably a few favorites I'll probably mention later on as well. But we're gonna actually get to some questions, and we're gonna see how that works. So let's pull up the first question. Oh, they just sent me a message. I don't even know who this person is, but I'll answer it anyway. They sent me a message. They said, what are some of the best comic books in your collection? Okay, so let's grab my collection. Let's see.
Mr. Tesla.
God, niggas heavy. This is just DC. Planning is always a good thing when you're making videos. So this is all the comics I currently have on the floor. There are more above right there. So half of this is DC, half of this is Marvel. So let's see. This is a comic book box, comic book collectors, you need to get these. Off the top of my head, I like collecting number ones. That's a big thing of mine. So a lot of my number ones are actually up there. I'll grab them in a second, but I like collecting covers. X of Swords is one I really love. That is basically Apocalypse fighting his own people, and the new X-Men come to help. Which, if you're not reading if you never read Hawks and Pox by Jonathan Hickman, you need to read it. Let's see. I love Taskmaster, so these are my favorites. Number ones. This is actually the Phoenix. Basically, I call this event the Phoenix Hunger Games, where the Phoenix is basically pitting heroes and villains against each other to basically see who becomes the next wielder of the Phoenix Force. I found this cover, which is a variant. It is the Namor cover with him and a space shark. And space sharks are cool. So it's a badass cover. So I like that cover. Let's see. Damnation. This was a really good book. I read the majority of this. A lot of the books I read, I don't like to. When I buy them, I buy them more so for the cover art. But I'm also buying them so I can read online. I have an account with both Marvel and DC to read their books. I'm not sharing. And this is how I pretty much read their comics. So Damnation was a good book. I have the first one of these because I love this cover, and I love Doctor Strange as well. This is one of my favorite covers. So there's that. Let's go to the box itself. Okay, let's see. What do we have in the box?
Oh, what's in the box?
There's a lot of books in here, man. There's a lot. Cosmic Ghost Rider has to be one of them. This is a great book. This essentially was about what if the Punisher served time in hell and became the Ghost Rider. Really, really great book. I love that book. A lot of Spider-Gwen, a lot of Generation X, Avengers Ronin, a lot of Doctor Strange, where he gets the Odin Force. That was a really dope one. One of my favorite books is the number one I have that I don't put up, but I make sure I keep it around, is Ta-Nehisi Coates' first number one of Black Panther. This was right after the movie came out, and this is a collector's item that I'm probably going to end up giving my grandkids or my nephews so they can pay for college. A lot of Ultimate Spider-Man, one of my favorite covers from that. This was actually Green Goblin versus Hobgoblin. It's a really great story. Yeah, a lot of books in here. A lot of Angela. This is Angela. I love this book. And also, while I'm at it, I just saw it. Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe. Great story. Great story. So let's see. There's a lot. I have a lot of Marvel. I have more Marvel than I do DC. This is the number one of Donny Cates' Thor run. I love Jason Aaron's Thor run with female Thor, but I love the art in this, and I love the way they made Thor new, and then also try to find a way to tie in. Like this book had everyone thinking that DC and Marvel were gonna work together soon. That unfortunately didn't happen, but really, really great story between Thor and Galactus, which I personally love. Let's see. Saladin Ahmed's Miles Morales. I actually have his number one somewhere in here. I have to find it. But I love this book. This is a really, really great book. A lot of Hickman, X-Men, a lot of Black Panther, Valkyrie, which is a Jason Aaron book. Really, really great book. Valkyrie in general is great. One of my favorite books, though, on here is Absolute Carnage number one, which is actually what this box is based off. Absolute Carnage, one of the best Venom stories, one of the best Marvel stories ever. A really, really great story that was really, really good at the time. Let's see. All right.
Mr. Tezla.
A lot of Thor. I love this one because this is a fight between War Thor and female Thor. A really great fight. Drawing, all that kind of stuff. Thanos, Loki, the Marauders, number 1. This is really great story in the Hox and Pox aftermath. Really great story. Hox and Pox, if you have not read Hox and Pox, you really should. It's a really great story. House and Powers of X, Absolute Carnage, Ghost Spider, Doctor Strange, Old Man Hawkeye, The Black Order, which I don't know if people even read that book, but really great book. Came out right around the time after Infinity War, I want to say. Really great book. I wish they would have kept it going. The 799 edition of Amazing Spider-Man, which is the first look at the Red Goblin, which is a combination of Green Goblin and Carnage put together. So yeah, that's a lot of the
Mr. Tezla.
Yeah, that's a lot of the Saladin Ahmed. Again, I love his work. I've actually met him. Actually, one of his books actually signed there. He's actually the number 1 of this, which is Black Bolt. His work on Black Bolt was absolutely amazing. If you have not read the story, you really need to. Also have Infamous Iron Man. I have the number 1 of that as well, but this is number 9. This is a really good one. A lot of good books in here from Marvel, but I want to everything's falling. I want to go over, because I don't want to be biased. I want to go over. Let's go over my DC stuff. So DC, get this out of the way. These, before we get to that, these are actually, oh no. Okay. These are actually the Marvel hip hop covers. Really great books. If you can find them on Amazon, I would suggest getting them as a collector's item. If you love a hip hop, love Marvel, these are really 2 good books to have in your collection. I actually have 2 of these, so yeah, as just one in wrapping at all times. But a bit. Okay, let's see.
Mr. Tezla.
Tales from the Dark Multiverse, Batman Hush. Really great story. Really loved it. Really great artwork. I gotta get back into this book, but this is actually one of my favorite books from DC in general. It's from the DC Black Label. Curse of the White Knight and the White Knight in general are great books, but the Harley Quinn book they did after it is a really good book. That's really good. Let's see. The Question, the Death of Big Sage, really great book. Let's actually go into the box itself and see what we can get, because I know there's some stuff in here. I just know there is. Open up the box. I know it's a Marvel box. Don't judge. Let's see. Why is there an Avengers here? No. Why is extra Marvel stuff? Oh, maybe because I couldn't get all the Marvel stuff. I couldn't put all my Marvel stuff in one box, so that's why I had it in here. Okay, I'll move it out of here. Get over here. All right. Yeah, I have a lot of comics. I need to actually get a second box, in all honesty, to fit my DC stuff in. Move that right here so I can actually look at it. I read a lot of Flash. This one is one of the ones I read. I like this one. I like the Dark Knight, the series. I liked it more so for the cover. So this was for The Drowning. This is the female Batman that takes over Atlantis. Really great book. I think Variant Comics has a video on this. If you have not seen them, they have a really good video on actually all of them, including the Batman Who Laughs, who's the most important one of the group. Let's see. Again, the Flash, Batman, Dark Knight's Metal. This was the Wild Hunt. I have pretty much all the books from the original books from that. The Batman Who Laughed, which is this was the second to last one. This one, where he fights the Batman Who Laughs, which is one of the greatest fights in Batman history. I really love this one, and they introduced another Batman who's like a Punisher almost. That was really cool. Sideways. I know that book is my number 1 up there. You can see it. My number 1 is actually right up there stop. Really, really great character. I love this character. I wish, and then I'll get to this later. I love this character. He's basically a Peter Parker for DC. Batman Last Night on Earth is a really great book. This is one of my favorite books by DC. This is Tales from the Dark Multiverse #1, Batman Nightfall. If you have not read this book, do yourself a favor and read this. This is a really, really great book for to read. Something you all would enjoy. I have Naomi, really great comic book. You should definitely read that. They're bringing her back and they plan on doing a CW show with her. So please look out for this book. Basically an orphan on Earth. But she gets adopted by a family, trying to figure out if she's a superhero or not. Super Sons, of course. Batman White Knight, as I mentioned. I have 3 of the covers. A lot of them actually. Yeah, and the Curse. Curse. So, Curse of the White Knight. What else can I say about this book? Amazing book. Batman White Knight in general. Some of the best work done by DC. Some of the best work done by DC are in these books. Sean Murphy showed his ass out on that one. Last Night on Earth, book 1. This is book 2. So book 1 and book 2. Really good story. I'm not gonna spoil this. This is a really, really good story. I mentioned I love variant covers and I love different artwork. I had Batman Who Laughs. This is actually the variant cover for the 7th and final issue of that story. And the way it ends is actually pretty fucking dope. It's a bunch of different books in here. Drowned Earth #1. Love the covers. And then a book that I didn't really like this book because I thought it was an unnecessary. Do I have that somewhere here? I think I did somewhere. It's probably in here somewhere. Which I'll be able to find in a second. There's Sideways in here. I'm a big fan of that character actually. Mother Panic. Mother Panic. This is not a very well-known comic book. This is by Young Animal. They're a Young Animal imprint for DC. It's kind of like their teen bop comic book series. Really, really great book. It's set in Gotham. I think you all would like that. I'm trying to find the 4th one of this book so I can show it, but I don't think it's on my wall. And it took me forever to actually put these books up on my wall because my wall decided it didn't want to stay the way it was supposed to stay. Let's see. Hold on. Again, Curse of the White Knight, one of my favorite covers. Azrael, I'm not going to say how he gets in the story. This is a special edition of the book, a special episode of the White Knight, the Von Freeze episode. Really, really good read. Tales from the Dark Multiverse, the Death of Superman, with Lois now being Superman, or something like that. I'm not going to say what exactly. Those can go eat. No. Okay. So the book I was mentioning, I didn't really like the book, but it was serviceable for what it was, which is No Justice. I have the 3rd one somewhere in here. I gotta find it. This was when basically the league expanded to have not only heroes but villains. It was an okay story. It wasn't the best, but it wasn't the worst either. And I just felt like it was just a cheat to get to what we have now with the dark universe thing and all that kind of stuff. They spent a lot of time in the dark universe, which I get because it was a character that everybody was interested in. But yeah, nah. So of the books I have on my wall, some of the books I would grab. Let's see. A book I love the most and it's on my wall. Let's see. All right, so books that are on my wall that I personally enjoy, that I love. Female Furies #1. This is the variant cover. Big Bar in the Female Furies. If you don't know who this is, you're probably gonna get a showing of this in the Snyder Cut. But Big Bar of the Female Furies, really great read about about basically this. They're pretty much Darkseid's super secret service, obviously, or his assassination squad. Speaking of Female Furies and Big Barda, Mr. Miracle, one of my favorite DC characters. He's basically Houdini, but he's so damn dope. It's so damn dope. Him as a character, he's funny, but it's a really good read. This is just my DC stuff. I'm gonna leave my Marvel stuff up there. I love this cover, but I love this story more than anything. This is the only. I mentioned the story before with the Batman Who Laughs. This is the Batman Who Laughs variant cover. That is just badass. That cover of just him smiling in the helmet and nothing else, him in complete darkness, the bullet shot right here, amazing. Or the blood splatter right there, amazing. So that pretty much answers that question of what's coming to my library. Let's look who else asked the question. Let's go to Instagram. Okay. How do you think Attack on Titan will end in the manga? This is by Red Bearded Gent. Shout out to Red Bearded Gent. Shout out to Team Chaos. Shout out to Black Girl Marvel. Shout out to Is She Black or Asian? What kind of Black Nerd cast is this crew, which I'm a part of? Shout out to them. This new episode every Friday. Shout out to them. Friday on all places you can get podcasts and on YouTube. He asked a bunch of questions. Okay, let's see. How do you think Attack on Titan will end the manga? What is the current big three in manga? Favorite manga? Who is Marvel's definite holy trinity in the comics and the movies? Who do you want to see get a solo book who doesn't currently have one in Marvel and DC? Okay. Let's attack this one by one. How do I think Attack on Titan will end the manga? I am not going to say that out loud because that is a spoiler, but I think it's going to end pretty sad. What are the current big three in manga? If I had to say honestly, I think right now, Attack on Titan is getting ready to end. So Attack on Titan can't be one of the big three. I would say it. That's a really good question. I would say My Hero Academia is one of them. My Hero Academia is one of the big three right now, without question. My Hero, with it coming back in March, it arguably is one of the best anime and mangas to exist right now. I'm gonna say Demon Slayer is #2. I think Demon Slayer's popularity is so high up there that it can't be disputed. It really can't. Like, I don't think Demon Slayer is that good. Don't come at me, but I don't think it's that good. But you can't ignore how good Demon Slayer is. But then the third spot gets kind of tricky because what is there? There's The Promised Neverland. There's The Promised Neverland. There's technically God of High School had a good run this year. Tower of God. Trying to think of anything else. Made in Abyss. There's no Gundam series going on right now, so that's not it. I'm not gonna say something like Dragon Ball Super, but because that ended. I don't think there's really a big three right now. I can't say Boruto because Boruto just got good in the anime. So I can't say that, but it's been good in the manga. So if it's manga wise, yeah, Boruto's definitely up there. I think right now it's just two. I think right now it's just My Hero and Demon Slayer. I think those are the two right now. If it was my personal choice, I would say it's My Hero, Demon Slayer, and then it's Fire Force. I think people are sleeping on Fire Force in terms of both manga and animation. I think people are really sleeping on that series. Favorite manga. I'm gonna go with My Hero. My Hero, without question. My Hero to me proves that you can, because all My Hero is just a retelling of the Infinity War. If you break down My Hero by the characters and who they tie into, it's just a retelling of Infinity of Marvel in a certain way. Like Shigaraki to a certain degree is Loki, and All for One is Thanos. Midoriya is Spider-Man. Todoroki is pretty much a combination of Iceman and the Human Torch. And Bakugo is pretty much Wolverine. So I'm really interested in. I love how they tell stories and how they advance the story along, and how they make callbacks to things in previous chapters. And no character is overpowered. There's no OP character in this series whatsoever. Even if you're reading the manga right now and you're at where we're at right now, the two characters that I'm referring to aren't overpowered. They're actually pretty. While they do have ridiculous power, there is a cost to it. But I would say My Hero is my favorite manga so far. Who is Marvel's definitive holy trinity in the comics and the movies? Okay. If we're talking holy trinity, now if we're talking the general consensus of holy trinity, in Marvel it would be Cap, Iron Man, and Thor. If we're talking in terms of my holy trinity, I think the general consensus, I think it's Spider-Man, the X-Men, and the Fantastic Four. Sorry. Yeah, the Fantastic Four. I said originally, and I think right now, I think in Marvel, what Marvel thinks is the holy trinity is Cap, Iron Man, Thor. And in mine, it's Fantastic Four, the X-Men, and Spider-Man. When you think of those three, X-Men, Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, their symbols alone speak volumes into the world, into the general lexicon of the world. In the movies right now, I think if you had asked me this question pre-Endgame, it would have been Cap, Tezla, Iron Man, and Thor. After Endgame and after the unfortunate passing of Chadwick Boseman, I would say right now the big three are Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, and Captain Marvel. I think Doctor Strange gets bumped up because of the unfortunate passing of Chadwick. I think when you think about those three, I think Doctor Strange was the fourth man out. I think his movie wasn't a central focus. But now going into this next phase, those three movies are the central focus to pretty much everything going on in the MCU. Sure, there's Shang-Chi, and sure, there's the Eternals. But I think those three movies they're hitched to too many things. Like, there's too much going on in Marvel that are hitched to those movies in some kind of capacity. That's what I think the Holy Trinity are. Who do you want to get a solo book who doesn't currently have one in Marvel and DC? If I had to say for DC is very tricky. I think I had an answer for DC and I can't remember what it was. Okay, let's see. For DC, Mr. Tezla. I'll give my Marvel as of right now. Marvel, I would say she's currently right now in the WandaVision show. It is Monica Rambeau. I think Monica Rambeau is someone that deserves. I know she's gonna be in the next Captain Marvel movie, and I know that she's currently in the WandaVision TV show. But in terms of like characters that need their own series, she's definitely one that needs her own run on. Who definitely needs her own solo run. because she's just as strong as Captain Marvel, if not stronger, and she is someone that Marvel has yet to give us a African American. They've given us an African perspective, and they've given us an African American perspective in the terms of Killmonger, but we haven't got one in the terms of an African American woman as a hero.
Mr. Tezla.
And I think that would be really, really dope going forward. I had the answer. I wrote that down somewhere. I knew that question was gonna get asked me. Yeah. Oh, I'm completely blanking on it. I'm sorry. The person I would bring up for DC that I think needs a solo book, and this is kind of cheating, but I don't care. Sideways. I know I brought him up earlier. Sideways is a character. He's a Puerto Rican kid. Number one. When you read his book, and his picture should be up right about now. When you read his book, he reads and he looks like his character looks like a Puerto Rican version of Peter Parker. He looks like realistically he looks like Miguel O'Hara from Spider-Man 2099. But the way he moves and the way he fights is very reminiscent of Peter and Spider-Man. I think this book was actually written by Bendis. This is a Bendis book. So yeah, let me grab it real quick. This is a Bendis book, I believe. We were just talking about it. Yeah, this is not Bendis. It's Rocafort. I'm sorry, Rocafort. But if you look at this book, his movements, everything about this, I know it's the worst picture to pull up for him, but let's try that again. Like, yeah, this'll work. This'll do. This one, look at this. That looks like a situation Peter would be in. It just does. So, like, from a standpoint of them having a character I want to see get a full series, it'd be him. And the reason he's not back is because his character was tied directly into the Dark Multiverse and the Dark Metal series, because he gets his powers from the Dark from essentially, how do I put it best? He falls into a wormhole that's on Earth that leads to the Dark Multiverse, falls for a second, gets power some weird way, and then falls back out and lands in the exact spot he was in. And that's a abridged way of me telling it. But he gets his powers, and he's a dope character, don't get me wrong. He goes on many adventures with the limited book he has, but once his book ends, that's it. We don't really see him much after that. It's almost the same thing with Naomi. Now, Naomi is getting a new book, and she's also getting a TV show, but you have a male character as a person of color that you can be given a book to. We don't need 17 different Batman books right now. No offense to Batman, but we just don't. So those are two characters I would definitely give a series to. Ubiquity Creation. Shout out to Ubiquity. Shout out to my homegirl Vani. I was actually thinking of some. Have you read Promised Neverland or Chainsaw Man? Okay. Promised Neverland I have not read, but I do know the book is already over. I'm actually going to be looking at actually buying from the book. I'm actually waiting until the second season ends to actually watch the second season. So I almost don't want to buy the books until I watch the second season. If you have not watched Promised Neverland, she's the one that actually corrupt me into watching that show. Without giving much about the story away, it essentially involves a bunch of little kids that live on a farm that are living with a person they call Mama. She's not actually their actual mom, but they are living there. They're tested every day. They're given 3 square meals, almost like a prison. So, one day, 2 of the children, Emma, and I can't remember the other kid's name, but they forget that one of the kids is being adopted, because the kids are not adopted every now and then. That the kid left her bunny. And they go to the edge of the farm, and the gate where the kid was they find the kid dead, hollowed out in the back of a truck. They hide under the truck only to find out their mama is working for demons and basically treating the kids as cattle for the demons to feed on. And after that, the kids make a plan to then escape the farm and go from there. So we see what happens going forward, and it's a really great story. I've actually seen the live action trailer for this. The live action trailer looks more terrifying than the actual movie. So yeah, the actual TV show, the actual anime, and the manga, I would imagine. Okay, we got another question here. Oh, sorry. I didn't answer Chainsaw Man. Chainsaw Man. I heard that it's coming to TV. It's coming as an anime series, so I don't want to read the manga for it yet, just because I know that I don't want to spoil it. I don't want to spoil this until I'm at least halfway through the series. So like after the first season, especially if it's done by Mappa or by Bones, two of the best animators right now in the game, I'm actually gonna wait until we get an anime for it. And I think once we get anime for it, I know the general gist of Chainsaw Man. It's hilarious, but I'm looking forward to seeing this as an anime, and then I'll read the books later. We got another question here. How does WandaVision tie to the comics? So WandaVision ties in actually with two different stories. So the first story they tie into, I believe it's called V for Vision. Is that what it's called? Yeah, V for Vision. Oh, sorry. Is it V for Vision or yeah? I'm sorry. It's called The Vision by King, Walter, and Belair. It should be up right now. Which is basically talking about Vision wanting a house, basically a home to himself. He wants a suburban life, but hilarity ensues. They actually have his children. You know, when his main children, Viv Vision. I know his child is called Viv Vision. She actually becomes a member of the Champions later on, which is kind of like another form of the Young Avengers. Now, on the Wanda side, a lot of her parts of the TV series are definitely reminiscent of House of M. And if you don't know what House of M is basically a storyline where Wanda, in a magnificent display of her own powers, basically rewrites reality on Earth to the point where Peter Parker becomes a movie star, everyone's life has changed, mutants are now the dominant race, and the only person that remembers this is Wolverine. Eventually they break out of it, and Wanda, in another state of panic, says no more mutants, wiping out damn near everybody, to the point where the Phoenix had to come out of space to come to Earth to reset everything. That is why they're loosely basing House of M on WandaVision. The only difference is in House of M, you knew who the villain was, and then to a degree it was Magneto and Wanda to a certain degree.
Tezla.
In WandaVision, they're portraying Wanda as the villain, but in the back of your head, you're like, they wouldn't do this again. They wouldn't turn her into a villain again, would they, after Age of Ultron? So it's really interesting going forward. They've introduced Billy and Tommy, so they are the first two naturally born power children in the MCU. And of course, if you don't know who they are in the comics version, they are Wiccan and Speed. Wiccan is one of the few, actually, I think he's one of the few LGBT characters in the series that he actually marries. He marries a Skrull that's called the Hulkling, which is a cross between Hulk with like dragon wings. But Wiccan is just as powerful as his mom, and the Speed is just super speed. He literally takes up after his brother, after his uncle, who in the comics is alive, but currently in the movies is dead. Which, by the way, I don't think, I want to say this right now, before this episode, because episode 7 will have dropped by the time this airs. I don't think Quicksilver is
Tezla.
I don't think Quicksilver is Quicksilver. I'm quite certain it's either one of three people. It is either a demon, it is Nightmare himself, or it is Mephisto. Now, I did see one theory that said, and then they based this off of something that happened in Spider-Man Homecoming. In Spider-Man Homecoming, there's a point where Spider-Man pulls out an Ultron head that's still glowing. A lot of people believe that with everything that happened in Endgame, that remember all that stuff that was in that container unit was being shipped to New York, to upstate New York, to the new Avengers base, and that base got blown up during Endgame. What if that Ultron head was there, got basically blasted out of the base and reactivated, and then someone like Hayward, part of Sora, cleaned it up, and that head assimilated into Hayward. So now Hayward, because Hayward is giving way too much knowledge. He specifically wants to dissect Vision. Is he looking to bring Ultron back? That'd be a really, really cool thing. And then remember, Sora changed their acronym to Sentient Weapon Observation. Sorry. I think it also involved Sentient Weapon Observation, because they usually involve creation as well. So it really just seeing how that works out with Hayward. But yeah, I'm gonna guess that. Next question. Next question. This is from Rep the Comics on Instagram. Your thoughts on DC future state? DC possibly being bought by Robert Kirkman. That's the first I'm hearing of that, actually. I wouldn't mind it. I'm kind of, so when it comes to DC, I'm kind of at a awkward crossroads. I like some of the future state stuff they've done. The Wonder Woman, the Immortal Wonder Woman with Yara Flor was really, really dope. I wish they didn't have more, that they had more than two issues right now. Dark Detective is getting ready to wrap up, I believe, next week. The new Batman is cool. I haven't gotten into all of it yet. I think the only reason I'm not big into it is because, like, I know it's finite. It's not something that's going to last long. And those are stories you continue to tell for years on end, but they don't want to. DC is focused on this new Frontier thing that's coming in March. That's basically probably going to be the same run-of-the-mill that they had before. I'm really interested to see what they do. But I am definitely more interested in what Marvel's doing with their X-Men stuff than I am with DC on their side. But if Robert Kirkman gets it, I think it'd be great. I would be surprised if he's able to buy it out. I know AT&T is trying to sell out everything Warner Bros. Right now, so we'll see how that goes. We got one more question before we wrap up on Instagram from Spilly D Thrills. I hope I said that name correctly. Yo, do video games count? Kinda. Because with the recent MK trailer, that was amazing yesterday, and the BS they did to the brother Jax, my question would be, how did Jax originally acquire those bionic arms? So originally in the first, like when Jax first introduced, it's never fully explained to us how he got his arms ripped off originally. In Mortal Kombat, was that 9? I want to say 9. Ermac is the one to do it, and so in this movie, having Sub-Zero do it actually builds in the story, because I think what they're trying to do with the Mortal Kombat trailer, and don't get me wrong, I think that trailer was amazing from beginning to end. What they're trying to do is they're trying to keep it to where it's a finite group. You can only have so many characters at the same time. You can't. The reason Mortal Kombat 9 and 10 and even 11 work as a video game movie is because it's a video game movie. So there's multiple hours. You're gonna spend at least 7 hours at best beating the Mortal Kombat games. You can't do that for a movie. So having Sub-Zero rip off his arms, and by the way, that's the first Sub-Zero. That's Bihan. That's not the second brother. There are 2 Sub-Zeros in the series. Bihan is the one that is the original Sub-Zero. That he's the one that is falsely accused by Scorpion of killing Scorpion and his family because of Quan Chi and Shang Tsung working together. Bi-Han is the one that's killed by Scorpion and becomes Smoke. The second Sub-Zero is the one that we all know and love from the second game. So he's the one with the scar on his eye. But I didn't mind it. I think that was a perfect way to do it. Especially if Sub-Zero is still a minion of Shang Tsung. It'll be really just seeing what they do. What I do think though, I think that the Cole Young character in the trailer, I don't think that's directly Johnny Cage. I think that inspires the myth of Johnny Cage. Because for one, he's a cage fighter when we first meet him. He has a martial arts background, so it's really interesting what he does. I wouldn't be surprised if he is the second Sub-Zero, or remember that he's the new Sub-Zero that's coming, and that's how he ends up getting his power or something like that, and become the next Sub-Zero. But we shall see. I'm really interested in the movie. I know that James Wan is behind the camera work on this movie, so I'm really excited for that after his work on basically damn near every horror movie that I refuse to watch. And Aquaman, I am very excited to see what this movie turns out to be, and I'm excited for it. For it to come out in April, it's gonna be it's gonna be Mortal Kombat cheesy, but I'm still gonna watch it. So I think the movie turned out great. But yeah, Jax isn't done yet. Jax is nowhere near done. He'll be back in the movie. And trust me, when he gets his bionic arms, he becomes even more of a badass. That's just my personal opinion. But that wraps up this edition of Jay Tesla's Comic Talk. I will be back doing another one of these sooner rather than later. Can't give an exact date when, but please keep a lookout for that. The schedule is on my Instagram of what I'll be doing next, so please check that out. But while you're here, please go to YouTube, subscribe to this channel if you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe to the Facebook page, subscribe to the Twitter, the Instagram, all that stuff. Also subscribe to What Kind of Black Nerd Cast Is This? That is where the entire crew, myself, well, I can't say myself, Black Girl Marvel, Is She Black or Asian, aka Lucia, Red Bearded Gent, and Team Chaos come together every week. We drop episodes every Friday discussing nerdy stuff. So more likely the next episode will probably end up discussing Mortal Kombat. And then whatever else drops between now and then. We will probably more likely be doing a WandaVision recap as well. Different things like that. Please subscribe to that. To our What Kind of Black Nerd Cast Is This YouTube page, but our Facebook page, our Instagram page, and also listen to us on Spotify, Google Podcasts, anywhere you can get a podcast, you can find us. What Kind of Black Nerd Cast Is This? Also subscribe to A Cup Full of Live Lou. That's the girls' podcast. Is She Black or Asian? And Black Girl Marvel. Subscribe to their podcast and their YouTube channel as well by the same name. I am Jay Tezla. It's been a pleasure to have you guys. Peace and much love. See you next time.